Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Jenny Halpin, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Air Vice Marshal Barb Courtney, who is undertaking today's readings as one of her final duties in uniform following 38 years of dedicated service to the Royal Australian Air Force. Barb, we thank you for your service. This evening, we warmly welcome members of the Royal Australian Signals Association. The Royal Australian Corps of Signals was officially formed 100 years ago on the 14th of February 1925, creating a group of technical specialists who provide communications, electronic warfare and cyber capabilities to support the Australian Defence Force's operations around the world. More than 100,000 signallers have served in the Corps since the First World War in all operational areas, including Korea, Malaya, Borneo, Vietnam, Cambodia, East Timor, and the Middle East. We thank you for your service. This evening, we are honoured to acknowledge Major General Greg Novak, Commander, Space Command, on behalf of the Royal Australian Corps of Signals. Major Jeff Mules, retired, on behalf of the Royal Australian Signals Association of the ACT, and Major Tamara Malkai, Officer Commanding 143 Signal Squadron, on behalf of the 8th Signal Regiment and the 143 Signal Squadron. We also warmly welcome Mr. Patrick Del Guedis, Deputy President of the Returned and Services League of Australia, ACT branch. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those who are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Wingham Brush Public School visiting from Wingham in New South Wales. Now, if you are able, could I please invite you to stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Students and those who require a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Signalman Patrick McGill. Patrick McGill was born on the 3rd of July 1919 in Irvine Bank, far north Queensland. The eldest son of Patrick Sr. and Isabella McGill, he had a younger brother and 4 sisters. The family moved to Cairns in the mid-1920s, where Patrick Sr. gained employment as a waterside worker. Upon leaving school, young Patrick gained employment in 1934 with the Cairns City Council as a junior clerk. He was also a noted rugby league player with past brothers and also representative teams. Following the outbreak of war in September 1939, McGill enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in Cairns on the 2nd of April 1940, putting his age up to 23 in order to avoid having to present a letter of permission from his family. He was really only 20. In early June, McGill travelled from the recruit depot to Red Bank Camp in Ipswich, where he joined the 7th Division Signals. 2 weeks later, he was reassigned to Southern Command, based at Seymour in New South Wales. After a 5-week spell in hospital recovering from appendicitis, Patrick convalesced in Melbourne for a time. Embarking for overseas service in Sydney on the 18th of October 1940, Signalman McGill arrived in Palestine at the end of November. In early January 1941, he was detached to Headquarters 20th Infantry Brigade, stationed at Dimrah, near Gaza. In late February, however, the 7th and 9th Divisions swapped 2 of their brigades, meaning that the 20th Brigade, including McGill, now belonged to the 9th Division. That meant that instead of going to Lebanon and Syria, they would now be going to Libya. In late March, Patrick was reassigned to serve as a signaller with one of the brigade's infantry battalions, the 2nd 17th. It was sent to Libya, where the Italians had recently been forced out. But before long, a new German force under Lieutenant General Rommel caused the Australians and British to rapidly fall back to Tobruk. The Australian 9th Division remained there, besieged for several months. After being relieved in Tobruk, the 9th Division returned to Palestine. During much of December 1941, McGill attended an operator's refresher course at the School of Signals. He and his comrades typically operated the wireless set 101 as well as others. Patrick was in the Juliet section of the 9th Division Signals. In early July 1942, the 9th Division was recalled to Egypt. On the El Alamein line, it helped stop a German-Italian counter-offensive which threatened to reach the Suez Canal. Over the next 2 months, stalemate set in. On the last day of August, Rommel made another attempt to break through, this time sending a strong armoured force to turn the 8th Army's southern flank. Tipped off by ultra intercepts, Montgomery had plans to distract and disrupt his opponent. Early on the 1st of September, the 2nd 15th Battalion launched a diversionary raid at the northern end of the line. Named Operation Bulimba, the raid's objective was to seize and hold Point 23, 4 kilometres southwest of the main Australian position at Tel El Isa. The infantry would be supported by Australian and British tanks, the latter penetrating deep into enemy territory to cause chaos. Signaller Patrick McGill would be going forward into action, attached to the 2nd 15th Battalion headquarters. Things started going wrong early on when the battalion's commanding officer was wounded. His second-in-command took over. The Australians soon gained their objectives, and bitter hand-to-hand fighting among the German positions ensued. Meanwhile, at battalion headquarters, communications could not be established with any of the 4 infantry companies. This was due to a combination of lines being cut by artillery, wireless sets being knocked out, and wireless operators becoming casualties. The Germans launched a strong counterattack to reclaim their positions. The Australians requested tank support, but the armour hesitated to act, awaiting orders from their squadron commander, not knowing that he'd been killed in action. The raid's more ambitious aims were nowhere close to being fulfilled. The tanks had failed woefully, while the Australian infantry was forced to withdraw earlier than planned. It was a costly failure. Rommel was not distracted and did not divert any forces northwards. The 2nd 15th Battalion suffered 183 casualties, including 59 dead. But there was one more. Initially reported as wounded in action and missing, signaller Patrick McGill was soon reported killed in action. He was 23 years old. McGill's remains were buried in El Alamein War Cemetery in Egypt. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Signalman Patrick McGill, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the days condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.